The LONGBOX CRUSADE presents
G.I Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years.
Forget the Baroness! I, Cobra Commander, have returned! Oh no! Now to Baroness!
Welcome to G.I Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. I'm one of your commanders, Pat Sampson, codename DJ Kristatos. And joining me, as always, is my battle buddy in this operation, Jared Elbrick, codename Destro.
At ease, DJ Kristatos, and to all the green shirts tuning in for this podcast, welcome back to Fort Longbox. We appreciate you tuning in to talk some post-2000 G.I Joe comics with us as we chronicle our way through the Devil's Due run. On this episode of G.I Joe Chronicles, DJ Kristatos and I are going to rotate in a new special ops guest for the show. For this episode, our special ops guest is Joe Thomas, codename Musical Genius Joe November. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you for having me. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight.
You know, people love the intro and outro music, the show in particular. That was all Joe and his amazing talents. It's nice to have you on as a guest.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Glad to be here.
Joe on Joe action. Usually got to pay extra for that.
It costs you extra flag points.
With that hot Joe on Joe action. Well, now's the part of the show where we debrief our new recruit, Joe here. Joe, what is your origin story with G.I. Joe? How did you discover G.I. Joe? Most people come in either through cartoons, comics, or figures. What was your route?
Definitely the cartoons. Grew up in the 80s. You know, I remember watching the first G.I. Joe cartoon season. What was it, like 83? Something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later that, you know, I started getting the action figures. You know, I'd heard of the older Joe, actually the 12-inch action figures, but I never really played with them or saw them until they had the smaller ones. But yeah, it was definitely the show. That was what ruled my psyche as far as what G.I. Joe was, what it stood for, and all the code names and how cool it was. And it wasn't until later that I got into the comics a little bit, but definitely the cartoons.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, everybody ran home from school. It's funny you mentioned that. I wasn't familiar with the 12-inch Joe series either, Joe, until later. You know, I was probably, 14 or 15 or something like that before my dad was finally like, there was big ones. You know? Now, Pat, you're a little older than both of us. Were you aware of the 12-inch Joe or?
Yes and no, I guess. I don't think it really interested me at the time, too big of a figure. But just like Joe, when the cartoon and the comics were out, man, that was into it. I was making sure I was watching it all the time. And like when they did the 5-episode miniseries.
Yes.
That
was like must watch.
Yes.
The Mass Device. Wasn't that the first one? Yeah. Yeah. I remember I came to it late, like kids at school were talking about it. And I was like, what? There's a cartoon? What? I was like, Lil Jon, what? Okay,
yeah.
Man, I was like, wait, what channel is this on? What does it come on? At first I thought it was like I got to catch it Saturday morning, but it was like an after school thing. Everybody, at least in my neck of the woods, it was like came on after school. Weird. But anyways, it's not my origin story. This is Joe November's origin story. Now, Joe, the toughest part of the show. Need you to pick 3 favorite characters, be they Joes or Cobras. Narrow it down to 3. Good luck with that.
Not a problem. The first one is Firefly, and it's only there's a nice little story that goes with that. So I had the Firefly action figure, and for some reason I decided, like, I was drawing at my desk, and I left him laying on top of my lamp.
You've told me this story.
Yes, I'll
let me shut up and let you tell it.
And so I left it on all night, and then I pull it up the next morning, and his back and his butt had sunken in together because I had laid him right across the light bulb. And he's no longer Firefly; he was Sunken Butt.
Sunken Butt.
So he was one of my favorites. I was disappointed that I melted him, but I always liked the gray camouflage. Another character, and this is from the G.I. Joe movie when it was a 5-part series. I love Big Lob. I love the fact that they were able to get a character that's sports related into the G.I. Joe canon. Never owned the figure, but just loved his character from the
I don't know
cartoon.
if they ever made a figure of Big Lob.
I looked on the internet and I saw some figures, but I don't know if that was like later or what.
Oh, maybe. I remember thinking when the movie came out, like, where's this figure?
Yeah, but anyway, Big Lob, that's the other one. And the third favorite was Zartan, merely because he would change colors. The action figure would change colors.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
This just in, by the way, I found Big Lob did get a figure exclusively through the G.I Joe Collectors Club. So it is out and about, and it looks good too. I'm looking at it right now. They captured it. They definitely did.
Nice.
But cool. All right. Zartan and Firefly, Big Lob, and Sunken Butts.
Don't feel bad, Joe. I had a Boba Fett that I was playing around the grill outside, and it's got the dome on the grill, Willer Weber grill. So I would put my guy on it, Boba Fett on it, and now Boba Fett didn't have any left because the Boba Fett's feet melted.
He was defeated.
Oh, defeated.
And he wasn't the one with the missile launched and all that. And no, I'm just kidding.
So you put him on the grill while the grill was in use. This is what I've learned.
Yeah, I was playing around. It was a nice spaceship kind of a thing. And
oh, man. All right. If you've got sad and tragic tales of what happened to your action figures, give us a call and leave it on our voicemail at 707-532-LBOX. That's 707-532-5269. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to DJ Kristatos for this episode's Intelligence Report.
now it's time for this mission, and we will be covering comic title G.I Joe number 28.
You're Ron Burgundy to me. You read every word.
I know. Publisher was Devil's Due. Got a cover date of March 2004. The writer was Brandon Jerwa. Penciler is Tim Seeley. Inker, Corey Hampshire. And colorist is Brett R. Smith. Letterer is Dreamer Designs. Cover art goes to Tim Seeley, Andrew Papoy, and Val Staples. And speaking of the cover, Death Pro, please take us through the cover description.
You got it.
Take cover!
This cover features New Joe barrel roll, or possibly a Raptor Viper, depending on your point of view. Since they never made a Raptor Viper figure, but they did make a barrel roll figure, but he was part of the Spy Troops line, so he could disguise himself as a Raptor Viper. You know what? It's barrel roll. We're going to say it's barrel roll. He's flying high above Cobra Island using an air assault pack. Back to you.
All right, well, let's find out what we think of this cover. And we'll start with Joe.
So when I first saw the cover, I didn't know who that was. Had no clue who this person was. And it turned out there was a reason for it. he's a new Joe, literally. It's definitely a very action-oriented snapshot of what he's doing. You know, he's coming at you. He's coming at the viewer. He's thrusting his payload right into your face. And he's about to do some damage. Very colorful. I love the artwork. Sets it off for a very adventurous comic.
Jarrett, what's your thoughts?
My first thought is Joe hasn't used our inside joke of thrusting the payload in many years, and it's just nice to hear it again. It's a term that one of our instructors used when we were at Comm Officer in the Air Force, and we giggled like children. Anyways, this cover is kind of remarkable to me, Pat, and that just like Joe, like when I picked it up, again, it's been 20 years since we've read these things live. When I picked it up, I was like, who is that? I didn't remember. I was like, I don't remember who that guy was. And I was like, is it Cobra?
I didn't know either. So, yeah.
But I tell you what else, though, as I went, this is really, really well drawn. Clean lines, real sharp drawing, and the colors are fantastic. Yeah. Going through my head, I was like, is that Firefly with a jetpack? You know, it's like, I just didn't know, but I was like, it's just super well drawn. So in the end, I think it's a great cover. I think it's highly dynamic and even memorable from the art standpoint, even though I didn't remember who the character was. And I got to say, the character has a very cool design and it's well executed. So a lot of things went through my head when I saw this cover as I prepped for this episode. But what about you, Pat? What went through your head when you saw it?
I too didn't know who the character was on here, so I just thought, oh, it's a pretty cool looking character. I didn't know if it was a Joe or a Cobra character as well too. I like how they have the jetpack jet kind of sweeping all the way down from coming out from that little, I don't know, hangar bay area on that side of that cliff there, and just kind of swooping up at you like that. Really makes it look sharp to me. And like you said, the line work and the coloring just really make this one pop.
Yeah, one thing that I find a little weird about it is once you read the story, you kind of realize, oh, this is a Raptor Viper, and it's more than likely Barrel Roll taking over the role of a Raptor Viper, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's weird is this is a G.I Joe symbol on the missile that's launching. And I'm like, isn't this this is a Cobra jet?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Jetpack. But I can explain that because oftentimes in the military, the weapons loaders will write the name of their target on the weaponry. So maybe they wrote G.I. Joe as the name of the target on their weaponry.
Okay.
There's so many layers to this cover.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, I think so, but a very well drawn cover. And with that, why don't we find out how we will rate this cover on a scale of 1 to 10 flag points, 1 meaning you didn't like it at all, and 10 meaning it's a perfect picture and you should make it a recruiting poster out of it for, the Barrel Roll jetpack fighting team. Would you want to join them looking this cool and sharp?
I definitely would.
Yeah. Let's find out. Joe, will you want to be on the Barrel Roll team?
I would like to know more about this Barrel Roll team. And I give this one, since I have the authority and the autonomy, a 9.5.
Oh,
ooh, Joe pulling out his own card right now.
I'm so excited right now.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Remember, if Joe's on the show, we're allowed to use the 0.5 rules.
Oh, boy,
I forgot about that.
Can we all do the half now that Joe's here? Does it make it
man.
Like
if Joe's on the show,
or
halfsies are open to everybody.
Oh wow!
As long as he's the guest.
Okay. Well, then you know what? I'm going to go 9.5 with him too, just because I want to be like Joe. I like it because the clean lines, the sweet coloring that's done on here.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go one step further and give it a 9.4.
Whoa, Jared. Whoa.
Oh, one step too far. My bad.
Oh, yeah. Half sieves.
No, I'm totally going in on the Joe November 9.5. Joe's got to be the most mentioned person on all of our podcasts because every time a score comes up, it's always somebody always says, "Well, if Joe November here." Yeah. On every episode, someone says that. It's usually me, but somebody says it.
That's hilarious.
No, you are the most mentioned person on the Longbox Crusade Network. But 9.5s from all of us, then, Pat.
Very cool. And with the cover out of the way, let's go back to Death Probe for the story synopsis in our mission brief.
As you guys all know on G.I Joe Chronicles, we mix it up. I have DJ Kristatos pull the randomizer to determine the synopsis point of view. Is it going to be Joe or Cobra this episode, Pat?
It will be Cobra.
Here we go.
Cobra,
Okay, the bad news first. Cobra Commander and Storm Shadow have returned, and with the return of our leader, Destro has stepped down. And not just from Cobra leadership, Destro has decided to leave Cobra altogether. And just to make things more interesting, the Baroness did not leave with him. Our spies tell us that the Joes have added some new recruits to their roster to include Hacker, Depth Charge, Mayday, Barrel Roll, Verona, and Mariner. In fact, the Joes took those new recruits along with Torpedo and Flint on a probing mission of Cobra Island. Don't giggle at that, Joe. Luckily for us, Copperhead and his troops were able to rout the Joes, and we totally didn't get our ranks infiltrated by Barrel Roll. And more good news. We placed a bomb at a TV station where Hawk and Lady Jaye were doing interviews and killed them both. Final note. Looks like unrest in Sierra Gordo is back on the table, but we have conflicting reports on who's controlling that, so more to come.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
All right, guys, it's time for our highs and lows on the issue. So round one, high or low for you, Joe? Which one are you going to go with, and what's it going to be?
I'm going to go with high, but I'm going with high just because it tickled me so much and it didn't deserve to make me laugh so much. when it talked about the South American nation of Sierra Gordo and all the upheaval and stuff, and I was like, oh, Sierra Gordo, Fat Mountain?
I think that's correct.
Yeah. So there's a nation called Fat Mountain. Okay, all right. So they're going through some stuff. But then they get attacked by Sierra Muerte, Death Mountain.
Death Mountain.
I'm like, Death Mountain attacked Fat Mountain. Oh, okay. Well, interesting. I can dig that. That's what I remember the most about this comic, is just that particular piece right there. That was the high for me.
I did the same thing, Joe. I was like, Death? Okay. I got to tell you, if I don't know anything else, and I just looking at the lobby card and it says tonight only Fat Mountain versus Death Mountain, I got to think Death Mountain's going to win.
I think so, too.
Unless it's a rap battle, then Fat Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
might be the champion.
Might give him a run for his money. But,
oh, Pat, are you on Team Fat Mountain or Death Mountain? I'm just kidding. It's your turn for high or low.
I think I'd be on Team Death Mountain.
Death Mountain does
fun,
sound cooler.
That sounds cooler than the Fat Mountain, but I never really put that together. I always just thought of it as, that country that was always in the G.I Joe comic books. I never put the names in, so that's really funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the artwork in here just right away. Reading this through, the artwork was amazing in this one. I really liked it, enjoyed it. How the layouts were done, very cool. And with the artwork, just that one whole page spread of Cobra Commander and Storm Shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Cobra Commander looking all baller in that red and that gray. Man, that really pops. I think that's cool.
Definitely. That drawing caught my eye too. And I actually thought to myself, I was like, man, Seeley is really, really finding his stride at this point. He's got a grip on all these characters. Absolutely agree. You know what? From my high, surprising myself, because I believe at this point Devils do find themselves in the same predicament that Larry found himself in Joe in the 80s. The figures are back on the market at this point and doing well. Like I said, Spy Troops line is now coming out. So you can kind of tell that Hasbro was like, hey, get our new characters in your book, right? So they introduced a handful of new characters in the book. And normally when that happens, I'm like the salty old guy. I'm like, new characters, boo. Hacker, you suck. Depth Charge, you suck. Mayday suck. Kind of like Verona, because she's been around actually for a while as a member of the Cobra Guard. She's been around since the 80s. Yeah, Mariner, I don't know. What's with the Zumba pants, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's Barrel Roll, who I think has a dumb specialty, high altitude sniper. Because what does that mean? Are they trying to say he's a good shot even when he's wearing a jetpack? Because that's incredibly difficult. But even though I'm not so sure about that, I really like the way they got used in the issue. Quick page, introduce them all, then they put them all on a little mission. And especially Barrel Roll, like they found a way to make him interesting right off the bat because he's the inside man now, so now you're very focused and intrigued on what's going to happen next with Barrel Roll. He's taken a lot of danger upon himself, and I want to know more. That's kind of the hook storyline for me coming out of this one. I mean, for some people, it's Fat Mountain versus Death Mountain. For me, it's like, okay, what's going to happen with Barrel Roll? So the fact that they got me interested in a brand new character right off the bat, that speaks well to Brandon's writing.
Yeah, it does.
So that's my high for round one. Let's get into round two. Back to Joe. You got another high or a low or a what the?
Definitely a low. It kind of morphs into a what the. It's like the very last end of the comic book.
So you're doing halfsies now with the highs and the lows?
That's what he wants.
Half a what the?
Yeah, it's a combo. It's a combo plate. The way that they ended the comic on a bang, shall I say. Yeah, it's definitely a nice cliffhanger.
Definitely. Yeah, like, ooh. Hawk and Lady Jaye caught unawares in an explosion. Cobra Commander was like ruthless.
Yeah.
Ruthless.
Yeah, he's like got more and more crazier ever since he kicked Serpentor off that high area there. He's like,
kick somebody off a cliff, man.
Yeah, you ain't coming back from that. You're loopy. You're loco.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, now you want to translate Spanish word. All right. Well, while you've got the mic there, Pat, what do you got for round two, high, low, or what the?
I have a few things. One.
Here we go.
One is just the action in here, too, with the whole water action. Reminds me of an older issue when they were first discovering Cobra Island and they had that big water battle that was happening back in the Marvel days. I love that. A great callback to there, made me think about that and enjoyed it. And as you said, with that, the characters that were brought into it got you invested into them. I'm also invested in the storyline with Destro, how he just, I'm out of here now. And hoping to see more of where that goes with him. So he gets more of his Iron Grenaders together. And now you start getting like this force. You know, you got the Joes, you have Cobra trying to make their way back. You have the Coil that are still out there causing some troubles. And now you got Destro. You don't know what he's going to do and whose side he may or may not be on. You know, he's going to be out for himself, of course. So I think that will be interesting to see. And then I liked the character moments with Hawk and Duke, and then them talking to Snake Eyes and Scarlet on the last mission where they came back from and what all happened with the Red Ninjas. And Scarlet just laying it out there. Well, we got the ejected done. And we got the second one done too. So, you know, back off.
She was firm but respectful.
Yeah. So a lot of story development, I think, in here makes me want to read the next issue that's going in.
Well, Pat, since you took all the remaining plot points and the artwork,
sorry,
I've got nothing left for my final round. I like G.I Joe. All right. And with that, I will hand it back to DJ Kristatos for the IG's report on the combat readiness of this issue.
And for those of you who don't speak military, that means we're going to score this issue's story on the same 1 to 10 flag point scale we used earlier. So, Joe, what are you going to rate this story? A 1 to 10 with your halfsies?
I'm not going to use halvesies today. I'm going to give a very solid 8 because I'm not aware of the new Joes. They do go on a mission. One of them does infiltrate the Cobra domain. I'm interested to see what happens with that. Kind of interested in see what happens with Destro. Why did he leave? That type of thing. The cliffhanger at the very end does that really mean what I think it means? But I think because of the new Joes, I was a little bit unfamiliar with them, so I had to kind of slow down and actually pay attention to what was happening in the comics because it's like I don't remember these people, and there's a reason for that. One of the things that did intrigue me, though, I forgot that Beachhead had a dialect. I had forgotten that piece about him. I think he was from Louisiana or something.
Oh, you're talking Copperhead. Copperhead.
Oh, Copperhead, not Beachhead. Sorry, Copperhead.
Yeah, you're right. And when I was reading this too, I was like, I think he is from Louisiana. Yeah.
I was like, I forgot about that.
Because you don't see him on the moccasin or whatever that was, a Cobra moccasin. He's on the hydrofoil.
Yeah.
So you're right. That kind of threw me off for a little bit. I'm like, was he really on the hydro? Okay, but.
Yeah. I gave it a solid 8.
That's fair. Jared, what are your thoughts on the story?
I'm strangely, looks like I'm going to be in lockstep with Joe this whole time. I think this is a real solid 8 issue too. In fact, since he's here, I might even throw out 8.5, but same reasons that Joe November gave. It's a good story. It's compelling. It's got a great cliffhanger. It does give you those new Joes and it kind of, okay, I have to get used to this new thing. Part of you is going, well, why can't we just do this mission with the Joes that I know already? But for introducing new characters, as I said earlier in the comments, heck of a job. So I'm actually going to push Joe's 8 to an 8.5 since I can do that with Joe November.
Do it.
What about you?
You know what? I'm going to join you at an 8.5 because there's not a lot of time that we get to do that. So
you got to use the 0.5.
I got to use it. So I'm going to go 8.5, just like you said. I think what we're seeing now with Brandon's writing going on there, it's building up and building up and building up. So we're getting into some good stuff coming. I can feel it. And with the story building that he's doing in the character work, it's definitely going to be something to read and look forward to reading. So I'm at an 8.5.
Nice.
With that out of the way, it is now time to award this episode's Silver Star Medal or Silver Snake for gallantry or sneaky snaky-tude in action. This is where we each get to award the character in this issue who went above and beyond the call of duty or sneaky snakiness. So, Joe, do you have a Silver Star or a Silver Snake medal to give away?
I think I have a Silver Star. At first, I was going to give it to Scarlet because of the way that she debriefed, what actually happened and how they actually met the objectives, because the general was very upset with them about what they did. And she was like, look, we took care of business and we ended up meeting our objectives. We just didn't do it the way you expected. But as I really began to think about it, the real hero, the real person who deserves it is Snake Eyes. The fact that he was able to battle a clan leader and then they're like, you're our guy now. That's dope.
Yeah, definitely recommend reading the previous issue. That was really cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it to Snake Eyes.
Very cool. Jared, Silver Star or Silver Snake?
I don't know which one this is. I guess it's a snake, but I'm giving it to Destro for his baller.
You took your mind too.
I took yours. His baller power play move. He's just like, I am done and I'm leaving. And then it got even more baller when he looked at Baroness. Was like, notice you didn't come with me.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. See ya.
Oof. He just like, if there was audio tracks in comic, which has been some discussion between me and Joe that there possibly may be one day. If there was audio tracks in comic, when he walked out, it would have played that John Cena as he strutted out of there. I was like, dang. So power play, baller move. I'm giving a silver. I guess it's a snake. He didn't really do anything evil, but I guess a silver snake for Destro.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That was one that I was going to give away. I mean, you could say barrel roll and for sneaking it in, but I'm not today. I'll give a silver snake to Cobra Commander just for that splash page in the baller way he came in walking in and just caught everybody off guard and all that just because you took my Destro.
It's all right. You took everything from the comic in round 2.
That's all right. I was.
You gave me the peppy I was looking for, so I'm not complaining.
Nice.
All right. Well, now that it is all done, we had the cover, we had the story, we talked about the Silver Snake and the Silver Star. Let's all hand it back over to Jarrett for his segment called Death Probe's Toy Chest.
It's here, the G.I. Joe collection, each sold separately. G.I. Joe from Hasbro.
In this segment, I'll take something or someone featured in this issue and give you a brief toy history on it. For this issue, I've selected Barrel Roll. He's on the cover. Why not? His real name is Dwight E. Stahl, and he's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He is an E4, and he is, as mentioned, a high-altitude sniper, and I still don't know what that is yet. Got no clue. His figure description is as follows. He wears a dark blue jumpsuit with light blue highlights on it. He wears matching gloves and black boots. His accessories include a rifle, helmet, breastplate, and gauntlets, and he came with the air assault vehicle. His figure was released in U.S. stores as part of the Spy Troops line set in 2003, just like this comic. And he was a deluxe figure. That's why he came with a very small vehicle, which was the Air Assault Pack. And it had action sounds. You could press those buttons. Currently, there are 4 versions of Barrel Roll. And strangely enough, all the other 3 versions, he comes in a reddish-brownish paint scheme. The first version is the only version where he's in the blue paint scheme, as we see him on the cover of this comic. He was a completely new sculpt for the figure, although later on they would use his torso, legs, and waist to create the character Cannonball in 2005. All right, this is a more second wave G.I. Joe figure coming out in 2003. Some people call it second wave, some people call it third wave because there was a small resurgence in 97, 98-ish. Anyway, it came out in 03, so it's a little later. So I'm not expecting either of you to have got this figure. Joe, did you ever own Barrel Roll?
No, I never did. But you mentioned that he was an E4. I thought it said he was lieutenant.
He's an E4 on his file card. Good question. You're right. That is a mismatch because in the book, he is a lieutenant. On his file card with his figure, it says E4. So
that's interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's interesting because I don't know what a high altitude sniper was, but I would think if he was a pilot of a flying vehicle, he would probably be an officer.
Right.
And it would make more sense.
It would make sense.
But yeah, his file card says E4. Interesting catch, Joe. Very interesting. Pat.
I thought I misread that. My bad.
No, you read it right. It just in the comic, he's a lieutenant. On his file card, he's an E4.
He's an E4. Interesting. Okay.
Interesting discrepancies. This comic is horse.
Get your stuff together.
Oh man, Pat, did you collect any of the wave from the 2000s when Joe was making its comeback?
No, I don't think I did. With the spy troops, I do remember seeing that. Now, is that where it's like white kind of background, the red, white, and blue stripe, and it says spy troops on it, or kind of the logo?
Yeah, they kind of went through. It's hard for me to remember because they kind of had a resurgence right around the time the comics came back again, like 01-ish. There was a real sort of red, white, blue packaging in the original run, and then they had spy troops, and then Venom versus Valor on the heels of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different packaging in there, and I got to be honest with you, the big kid Jared was there for all. I own this figure. I bought the crap out of these things when they got re-released. I still own this figure, but you didn't pick those up, Pat.
No, I was probably buying baby formula and diapers and things like that with some money at the time.
That's the saddest story we've ever had on G.I Joe Chronicles. The Devil's Due.
Yeah. I wish I could, but
you can stop by my house and check them out, Pat.
Yeah, I would love to stop by and play with your toys.
We'll play G.I. Joes. All right, Pat. I think that wraps up for Death Probe's Toy Chest, so it's back to Pat.
All right. Well, next up is our feedback segment called Combat Comms.
Call it G.I. Joe. Go get Breaker. He can do it.
As always, we'll start off Combat Comms with a roster of our battle-hardened Crusader Club veterans. These are the fine folks that have joined our Crusaders Club. They enjoy early access to special Longbox video episodes, free raffle giveaways, voting on show programming, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and enjoying some much appreciated support to the show.
Angelica Wolf.
Auburn Elvis.
Bill Bear.
Blast It or Stash It.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robinson. Good guy.
Dave Collins. Codename Battlewagon.
Battlewagon.
Gary Viola.
Gerald Green.
Jason Keene.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman.
Joe Tomas? Is that house? I don't know.
Zayman. It's Joe Zayman. He's the other half.
Oh, it's the other half.
Of Joe Thomas.
Okay. It's our boy Joe November, and I'm happy he's on the show.
Yeah. John Watson.
Jose Puyo.
Josh Strickland.
MVP Kathy Bright.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Wagner.
Miranda W.
Edie Devins.
Paul Hicks. Codename Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Ross Michaud.
Ryan Daly.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
And Toronto Cop. If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Please keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon. But still, don't worry about it. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we will get it all straightened out. So you might be asking yourself, how do I become a Crusaders Club member? Because I see that Joe is part of the Crusaders Club and he loves it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like Joe.
Mm-hmm.
How do I do that?
Halvesies.
Yeah. How can I do that? Well, it's simple. Just head on over to patreon.com and search for Longbox Crusade. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get all the access. I mean, all the access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come and check it out.
This is giving me an idea, Pat. I think a new perk for Crusaders Club members. If you're a Crusaders Club member, you can give out halvesies.
Ooh, I like that. The Joe November level.
Yeah, Joe November level.
Oh, snap. I get my own level.
Let's make it like $100 a month.
Yeah. We
For
expect Joe to be
$100 a
paying
month.
that, yeah.
You can get
Super
halvesies.
exclusive.
For $100 a month, you can be like Joe and get halvesies.
I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. Now let's see what messages we have from our platoon of loyal listeners we have waiting for us on Breaker's ComSat.
Communications Officer, code name Breaker.
These are from episode 26, where we featured issue number 26. Delvin Williams, codename Dark Web, was our guest.
I'll snag one here, Pat. It's from our friend Gene Hendricks, a.k.a. The Hammer Strikes. And he posted a pretty funny picture. It says, when people start talking about never even seeing the Defiant launch complex, but you had one as a kid, and has that little meme of that, like that little stuffed monkey kind of looking side to side, looking shady. And yeah, that was the tweet that made pretty much the internet hate Gene Hendricks. So
yes. Gene, he is the mean machine.
He is. I mean, we still want him as a listener and a friend.
Yeah.
But he can also piss off.
Or he can bring us over to enjoy the Defiant with him.
Yeah, if he still had it and let us play with it, we could probably work something out.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you can send it and ship it to us. We can just rotate it around the crew. Ooh. I'm sure Jason would love to play with it.
Yeah, I tell you what, Gene, if you send it to me and let me have it, I'll give you the Joe November level in the Crusaders Club. You can start using halvesies.
You're giving it out to anyone, huh?
They gotta have a G.I. Joe Defiant or possibly a USS Flag.
All right, well, I'll take one from G.I. Gary, and he says he loves this.
Yes, he did. And oh, by the way, Pat, we have a voicemail.
Oh, we do.
This episode. Did not identify themselves. We asked people to send in a Yo Joe, and let's see what we got.
By the power of Grayskull, Yo Joe! And that's when to grow on.
Well, there you have it, folks. Everyone's very enthusiastic about the show and apparently other shows.
Yeah, that sounds like somebody that wants to be a Crusaders Club member and get at that Joe November level, at the half-seas level. Man.
Oh, if you want to join the shenanigans and send us a voicemail, just like whoever that was, you can give us a call at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
And that is going to bring us to mission complete status for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. If you'd like to hear more from us in the realm of comic books, action films, vintage TV, movies, serials, and so much more, check out the entire LONGBOX CRUSADE Network. DJ Kristatos, where can they find that?
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, and most podcatchers out there. Otherwise, we're at www.longboxcrusade.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at LONGBOX CRUSADE. Back to you, Jared.
If you'd like to chat with us online, we can be found at... Back to you, Pat.
I can be found... Well, of course, Jared, I'm glad you asked. And I can also be found at Kristatos01 on the Twitter. Joe, where can you be found?
I can be found... you look up Joe November on Instagram, Spotify, Bandcamp, Facebook, TikTok, SoundCloud, and Twitter.
That's a lot of Joe November.
That's a lot.
And I know that Joe and I have been very, very, very good friends for a couple of decades now. So, factor that in. But check out his SoundCloud page, folks. Joe puts together some wonderful beats. The thing I like best about his beats, and sometimes he's got lyrics over it by Mega Ran or Pigeon John or something like that. It's very cool. But I like a lot of the beats that don't even have lyrics. When I do my art and stuff like that, it's just great to have on. It's real cool, mellow background stuff. If you're into that and you want something relaxing in the background, head on over to SoundCloud and check out Joe November for sure.
You're not going to hear any stressful music from me.
No, Joe's very smooth, I would say, is a good word to describe Joe's music. And speaking of my art, I'm at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's all Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my wares, of which there are several G.I. Joe drawings to select from. Not that I'm trying to sway our listeners or anything. Do it now. www.theyardsaleartist.com. Thank you for joining us for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. We will see you on the battlefield next episode, where we will cover issue number 29, called Players and Pawns, part 2 of 5. Until then, platoon, fall out. Yo Joe.
The music themes for this show are done by musical genius Joe November. Please check out his SoundCloud at Joseflin99. That's Joseflin99. You will not regret it.